Hello and welcome to Leaders Up Close and Personal. This program is part of UCF's Engineering Leadership and Innovation Institute. It's supported by Duke Energy, and we appreciate that support. Today we have Jason Dunn, who's co-founder and chief technologist of Made in Space. Jason, thank you for being willing to share your story with us today.
Thanks for having me here.
It's great, and it's great to have you here, and I've heard you talk about engineers and people in general need to go solve the world's toughest challenges. So if I'm an engineer, how do we go start solving the toughest challenges? Where do I begin?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think the first thing is to recognize that today, any individual has, the power within themselves to go and solve huge challenges. That, humanity's biggest challenges: energy, clean water and food, and poverty and education. These are problems that have always been something left to big corporations and government initiatives, but with the way technology is changing, it's something that is now within grasp of the individual to go after. And it's about, doing well for yourself while doing good for others.
Okay, so I got to go see there's challenges out there I can go take on. So in your experience, what's helped you go solve these? Because I know with Made in Space, you're making differences. What's helping you make that progress possible?
Sure. There's definitely a lot of aspects about what's making it possible for me. For me, it's, number one, without a doubt, is being very passionate about making something really big happen. And for me, the passion is about space colonization. I want to see that happen. I know it's important for humanity, and I want it to happen in my lifetime. Maybe it's a little selfish aspect, but I think it would be great to be able to go to space. I want everybody else to be able to do it too. So for me, it's having a really big goal. It's far out there. It's probably my entire life would be spent doing it. But having that like landmark way out in the distant future allows me to understand what can I work on now to get there. And then it's just recognizing the technologies that are needed and how they're advancing and using what's available and anticipating what's coming up.
So when you were a student here at UCF and through your career, you had this goal to go colonize space. You probably had a path that you thought, hey, I'm going to take this path. And maybe a roadblock got put up, but you never abandoned?
Right. So in being an aerospace engineer, we call these course corrections. You know where you need to go, and you can't just take a straight line. You're going to make course corrections along the way. But it's keeping that vision in mind, retaining hope even when things aren't going so well. And then at the end of the day, it's about just doing something about it. Doing even the smallest little step, because each small little step adds up into something a lot bigger. And it's being not afraid to fail, to try something, and if it doesn't work, learn from it and move on.
So those failure points, do we want them to take a year to find out, a long time, or do we rather have a lot of short failures, quick failures?
I'm out in Silicon Valley, and in Silicon Valley, the mindset kind of ingrained in all these startup companies, and we're a space startup, but we run it just like any other startup you'd find there. The idea is to fail early, fail often. And it's the fail early mentality that's so important. Don't try to just engineer the best possible solution and spend lots of money and lots of time doing it. Engineer prototypes, try them out, see what happens, iterate, and iterate very quickly. The failure aspect is really an iteration aspect. How do you iterate quickly? But we put on the end of that a caveat that success is mandatory. If all you're out there to do is try to figure out how to fail, well, what good is that? But if you can learn from your failure and use it to drive you to success, you'll succeed a lot quicker too.
Okay. So when you said we there, and so now you've got a team you've got to go put in place to make this failure but success. Any thoughts on the team and the kind of people that need to be able to operate within that environment?
It's definitely a specific type of team that you have to build, and I think it's different for each group of founders building a company, or even the company itself. What that team mentality is like, but it's a team that has that shared vision. At Made in Space, the entire team shares the vision that colonizing space and allowing humanity to go be multiplanetary is an important thing to do, and that Made in Space is one of the key enablers of making that happen. So it's about building a team that shares a vision.
So does this team, multiplanetary civilization, makes sense, but I'm probably not going to live in space. Is that going to do anything for me? Right? And how does the team kind of stay connected to that?
Yeah, I love that question. A lot of people say, why should we waste time exploring space when we have all these problems here on Earth? And this is the whole reason that I'm so passionate about this, is not just because I want to go to space one day. It's because I know that if we do that, we will solve the challenges that we need to solve here on Earth. If you go live in space, you have to be 100% self-sufficient. You know, grow your own food, recycle your own waste, clean your water supply, collect all your energy, do that all in a renewable fashion. And those are exactly the technologies that we need here on Earth. So you could imagine if we had an abundant supply of energy on the ground, we could bring the developing world out of darkness, we could clean the water supply and grow the food. So exploring space is something that benefits everybody, and not everybody has to go to space to get the rewards of what space exploration provides.
So as you started answering that question, I heard you say, I don't have to go to space. Do you want to go to space?
I want to go to space when it's as safe and regular as the airplane I took to get here from California. And I don't think that's far away. I think that that will come a lot sooner than most people think. And but I do think that it takes people like me and the team at Made in Space who have that vision to create it, because it's a future that doesn't exist yet, and it will take the willpower of a large group of people to make it happen. And
that willpower, and I've heard you talk about exponential thinking. Do you think that's 100 years from now that we're going to get there? 1,000 years?
See, that's a common misconception. Everybody, we're linear thinkers. Our brains are wired linearly. We have always seen technology progress at a linear fashion. And the thing is that technology is not really on a linear trajectory. It's actually on an exponential. And the problem is that an exponential curve always looks linear in the beginning until you hit some sort of spike, and then it ramps up. And a lot of technology today is deep-rooted in information technology, technologies that actually are being driven by things like Moore's Law that are changing at exponential rates. So when I look at it, at how the future looks, I recognize that things are going to happen a lot faster and a lot faster. So it's not hundreds of years out that this is happening. It's, you know, in the next several decades, things are going to change beyond what we can even imagine right now. So the question is always, how does that impact space exploration? Maybe exploring space is something totally different than we imagine it to be right now.
Right. But it sounds like you think we're maybe starting to get that cusp a little bit. We're further on this end than we are at the linear, hopefully?
I mean, what you're getting at is the term knee of the curve, which is kind of it's a little bit of a joke, because how do you actually know where the knee of the curve is, that inflection point? But it certainly is accelerating. And the thing is it's always been accelerating. It's just we're noticing it more now. It's why you buy a cell phone and then the next week there's a better cell phone. And that wasn't, you know, a couple years ago, that was you buy a cell phone and the next year there's a better cell phone, or the next month. But now that change is happening quicker. And that's something that the exact reason that the cell phone is getting better, faster and faster is the same reason why photovoltaics are getting better, faster and faster, more efficient. And the reason why that translates to a whole bunch of other technologies and industries.
Okay. So when we think about leaders and leadership to go make these world-changing solutions a reality, right? So there's risk-taking, there is exponential thinking. As I've listened to you talk and share stories with folks, I also get a sense that there is maybe a little bit of the need for humility in those leaders. Any thoughts on that?
I think there definitely is a need for humility in leaders, and I mean, that's the way we run things. We're you know, that typical young startup, and it's about not taking yourself so seriously, having fun with it, because at the end of the day, it's not about just getting to that ultimate vision. It's about having fun during the journey, and that's ingrained deeply in the way we run things at Made in Space, and I mean, really the way things are changing altogether.
Okay. Well, Jason, thank you for sharing your story with us and the fun you're having along the way. I really do appreciate that.
Well, this has been fun.
And this has been Leaders Up Close and Personal. Thank you for joining us on the journey today.